we get into today's video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below. You follow us on our TikTok, our Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube is just down there in the description button. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. And thank you guys and enjoy the video. Welcome in everybody. This is Devil's Den episode number 10. My name is Spencer Hayden. I'm joined alongside Chris Georgiou. Chris, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling awesome. How about you, Spencer?
Yeah, good week for United. A lot of good stuff happening. I mean, all of its reports, obviously, but good stuff happening. I mean, hey, guess what happened? De Gea's contract ran out. So that's it. That's a big plus. That's a big plus. Some other things we're going to be talking about today in the podcast are Ten Hag's ruthless nature that he's been showing us, especially with regards to that De Gea contract, situation. And then we're also going to be discussing whether Andre Onana, how he's going to be able to transform Manchester United as long as he comes. Hopefully he comes. And then we're also going to discuss whether Mason Mount really does deserve the number 7 jersey, because that's what we gave him, as you can see from the announcement. We knew he was going to sign, but when we saw him with the number 7 jersey, it was kind of a shock. And then we're also going to be discussing whether Amad Diallo, Facundo Pellistri, and Kobe Mainoo should either go on loan, maybe we should sell them, or they should stay with us and deserve some playtime with us. And then the last thing we're going to be discussing is which players we want Manchester United to sell, because we need to be selling players. And it seems like we're kind of behind on the whole selling players department. But, let's start out with the whole Ten Hag being ruthless. Chris, you want to give us like an overview on some of the things that you think that he's been really ruthless on and he's made the correct or just ruthless decision?
Yeah, so Ten Hag comes in beginning of last summer. He says, I want full control of transfers, a squad, and everything. He really instilled that he wants to be in charge of everything, which for the most part he has. We saw, I'd say there's 3 big things he's done so far. One is the whole Ronaldo situation. He was kind of at the helm of that. Saw he wasn't really a good influence on the squad right before he left, so he was kind of kicked him out then. And now De Gea too. We've seen a lot of reports over the last couple of weeks and months that the club was looking to give De Gea an extension on his current deal that would keep him at the club for another year or two. And then Ten Hag ultimately said, no, I want a new keeper. So we let De Gea's contract run out, and now we're saying bye to Dave. And now the third one, which we're seeing now with very recent reports, is that Maguire is going to get stripped of his captaincy, and it will likely be handed to Bruno Fernandes, who for the most part was our captain this season when he's been playing, and Maguire's been on the bench. But I'd say those are the 3 main parts of the ruthlessness we've seen from Ten Hag this season. And I for one, I really like that we have someone in charge who's like really putting their foot down when it matters and making these big time decisions. That isn't going to please everyone, but he's saying, I'm the manager. This is my input on how the team should be run. This is my job. And he's really been doing a great job at it. What about you, Spence? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I completely echo all what you're saying, because I think Ten Hag, if you look at Erik Ten Hag, and I see a lot of similarities between Erik Ten Hag and another manager in Manchester, and that's Pep Guardiola. Not just because they're bald beauties, but at the same time, I think both of them are ruthless in so many decisions they make. You look at Pep Guardiola with João Cancelo last season. João Cancelo is a fantastic footballer. And he made the decision that, hey, if you don't want to be a part of the team, I'm not going to hold you hostage. And Ten Hag has done very similar things with Maguire having to make that strong decision of, look, you were the club captain before I came in, but hey, Bruno Fernandes is my club captain. Or maybe someone else. And I don't think Maguire is really going to stay with us. So I think it was a smart decision. And then with the whole Ronaldo thing, Cristiano Ronaldo has so much pull from the locker room to just everywhere, really. Such a big influence. And Ten Hag has said, look, I'm the manager. You're not bigger than the club. You need to chill out. And he put his foot down. And then also with this whole, the leaks coming out of the dressing room. That was a big thing before Ten Hag came in. And I don't know if you've noticed, Chris, but at a lot of press conferences, Ten Hag is not very revealing of his plans. And some people think it's deceiving and he's lying a lot, which may be perceived as bad. But for me, I think it's good, because you can't tell everyone what you're going to do. So obviously he's going to tell everyone in the media, hey, I backed David De Gea. He's my goalkeeper. Because we can't go out and buy a new goalkeeper when we're in February, you know? So you might as well back the goalkeeper that you have, even if he's going through a rough patch, because you can't tell yourself, oh, hey, De Gea sucks. So, he's got to do better. That's going to kill his confidence. So he's got to do the best with what he can. And I think although he was deceiving, there was a purpose in that. And so I think Ten Hag's ruthlessness is really important, and I'm glad to see it for one. So I don't think we really saw it under former managers the last however many years. Do you think there were any other managers, maybe Jose Mourinho, who were really as ruthless as Ten Hag? I don't think there were really any managers as ruthless as Ten Hag.
I mean, we kind of saw it barely with Ole, with the whole De Gea and Henderson situation. Like we saw Henderson come into the team for a while, and De Gea was benched, but that never really panned out. But I would say Ten Hag's definitely been the more ruthless of our recent managers. And I just wanted to comment on one thing you just said about not saying like De Gea is bad or he sucks or whatever, but saying those types of like positive comments towards players that are like widely not viewed that popular. It helps them get their it helps not it helps them get their price up in the market too. If you say like De Gea is a bad keeper, I don't want him in my squad, I need a new keeper, it's going to make other keepers more expensive for you to get, because now clubs are saying, oh, you're in need of a keeper, we can jack up our prices. And it like worsens your ability to sell some of your current players. Like if you're like, Maguire is a horrible player, I don't want him in my team, who's gonna want to buy him? So he is very careful with what he says in the media and how he treats our players, and it may not really reflect his true position or his true like views regarding our players.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also think that's like you said, it's a good bargaining chip because if you did say to Maguire, hey, he made this mistake in the Sevilla match, so, I'm not going to play him for the rest of the season because he was such a detriment to the team in this match. No one's going to look at that and go, all right, we want to have this guy playing and making mistakes for us. So you kind of have to label your players as, you can't say any of your players are really, bad, obviously. You could say they can improve and stuff, but I think Ten Hag was really purposeful in all of his press conferences, just making sure that he didn't obviously want to just kill the confidence of any of his players, but at the same time, he wasn't going to reveal too much. So I think not revealing too much is a good thing, because you don't really tell other teams what your plans are and stuff. And then also, I wanted to talk about De Gea a little bit. So we saw Marcus Rashford had recently posted a farewell picture, and on the farewell post on Instagram, I believe it said something like caption ideas.
Yeah.
And then it's a couple lines down. So it seemed people were on Twitter trolling him, saying he used to search on ChatGPT and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. For me, I find that really funny. I just like, it's probably his PR team anyway.
It's definitely his PR team.
And he probably said something to De Gea behind the scenes anyways, so they're probably fine. But it's just so funny how people overreact and they get mad at Rashford. And then also, like, do you think that we had a bad way of, I don't know, because a lot of people came at me on Twitter and said we should have given De Gea his flowers at the end of the season in terms of, giving him a standing ovation, telling him, oh, it's his last game and things like that. But for me, we didn't know whether it was his last game. And we know that we might have an idea that Ten Hag knew already that he wasn't going to roll with De Gea next year. But at the same time, Ten Hag doesn't know what his budget is fully, because he doesn't know that the owner situation is, it's a weird situation. So we don't know whether we can actually go out and buy a goalkeeper. And so I think only recently Ten Hag found out that he does have the money for an Andre Onana. So I think only recently we actually fully knew that De Gea wouldn't be getting that contract. And so once we fully knew, it kind of got to the point. But sadly, it's just too late, because we can't give him that game where we're like, oh, it's his last game. But all these fans are like, oh, we treat him so poorly. For me, it's just like a tough situation for Ten Hag to be in, because the owners, put him in a tough spot because he doesn't know whether he can buy a goalkeeper. Do you think he could have handled that situation any better? Because I think he did it fine. Yeah,
like you just said, Ten Hag's been in the dark for majority of this season, or the back half of the season, just in terms of like what our budget's going to be, what kind of profiles we can buy, what positions to strengthen. Like, he wasn't given all the tools like necessary to make those decisions early. So that's why we saw the De Gea. We saw a lot of. He was probably planning on giving De Gea a new contract just because we don't have any other options, or he didn't know if we would have any other options. So like you can't run out De Gea's contract without having a replacement come in. So the fact that he just hasn't had any information on that, you can't really do anything about it. I'm sure the club will give him a testimonial match soon, like next summer maybe, or possibly even this summer. Like who knows? Because I mean he was here for so long. I mean we're seeing like both him and Phil Jones leaving the club after like 12, 13 years. I'm sure they could do something combined with those two or something. But yeah, I don't really see anything more that the club could have done with this situation.
Yeah. My final question on the whole De Gea situation, Chris. So you just said 12 years for Phil Jones and David De Gea at the club. So that means 12 years David De Gea was our starter. That's pretty much our entire lives, really. And he's won the Premier League with us. I know he hasn't won it as many times as we want him to. But do you think David De Gea is a club legend?
I think De Gea, in my opinion, has like really worsened his reputation the past 2 or 3 seasons, and like it kind of hampers on the whole legend talk. It's like what defines legend to be? Like if longevity is the only like thing that makes you a legend, then Phil Jones would also be a United legend. Phil Jones has won the same exact stuff that De Gea has won. So I mean, you make the argument that De Gea has our most clean sheets, like most appearances. He's the number one, and he's obviously going to be playing every game. Like, yeah, he didn't have the greatest back line in front of him throughout the years. He's like made world-class saves, but really, he's really been non-existent in Europe. Really, every year in Europe, he kind of has been like the main cause of our going out of competitions. Like, you have 18-19 Barca, you have like 19-20 Sevilla, 2021 Villarreal, this season Sevilla. Like so many times he's been like personally responsible for the big European exits, and we haven't really challenged for the league as much as we wanted to the past decade. Like I like want to say yes because like yeah, the longevity, he's been a big servant for us, but there's also another big side to that argument. I think that could be made. Also, the fax machine blowing out in 2015, like when Madrid almost got him. I think there's a good argument for him not being a legend. I think it's a good debate to be had. It's definitely not a clear yes or no in my opinion.
I don't know. I mean, personally for me, so I see what you're saying with the whole longevity and Phil Jones and stuff, but dude, Phil Jones, like, I can't remember that many matches of him even playing, honestly, because for the last 5 years, really, he's been injured. Like, I don't even remember him really. I don't remember like a single game of him in the last 5 years because he's just been injured like all the time. De Gea at least has been. I mean, I know goalkeepers don't really get injured like that, but at the same time, like for 2015 to like 2019, he was considered to be one of the best, if not the best. And I don't know if you remember, but dude, for me, the peak David De Gea was that one match at the Emirates in, God, what was it, 2018?
2018, the Arsenal.
Oh my God, that was insane. And I remember DT, do you remember Arsenal Fan TV? And one of their fans, DT, was saying, hey man, he can save the fucking Titanic, man. Like I don't know, for me, David De Gea has had some of those crazy standout saves and performances, but like, yeah, like the thing is all goalkeepers have those mistakes. And like the whole 2-hour fail comp thing is just like, it's such a farce, man. Like there's so many of the shots in there that I'm like, dude, no one's saving that. But I don't know. For me, he's definitely a club legend. 12 years, most appearances, most clean sheets. He just won the Golden Glove last season. He finished his final game out with the penalty save. Like, come on, man. Like, let him go with his flowers. You got to say he's a club legend.
Fine. As long as he's not in between the sticks for any time ever again, I'm fine with it.
All right, fair enough.
Except for I'll give him a testimonial.
All right, fair enough. And the replacement we have for David De Gea, we don't have anyone yet. Currently, it's Tom Heaton. Confirmed. It's currently Tom Heaton, which actually, I mean, Dean Henderson's still at the club.
Currently it's Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson's currently at the club, but okay, he's got to go too. He's got to be one of those players that goes. But in terms of players that we're looking at, Andre Onana, Diego Costa, but it seems like Diego Costa's kind of gone out of the picture. Same with David Raya. They don't really seem like they're targets for us anymore. And Andre Onana kind of seems kind of nailed on as so like this week, I think it might go through. And what do you think Andre Onana will bring to Manchester United?
He's gonna bring everything that we've lacked in terms of like building up from the back and possession and keeping the football last season. He'll just massively improve our style of play, the way we can build out from the back, and really just anytime we've seen like other teams press us is where like we've gotten shaky. We've seen with De Gea and Maguire like countless times. But now with like a confident ball playing goalkeeper who's not afraid to get on the ball and make not risky passes, but like play out from the back in a way that beats the opposing team's press is something that we've never really seen at United recently. And that's obviously how we want Ten Hag to play. That's how he wants to play. So getting that upgrade in the goalkeeper department is absolutely massive for us. It's a transformative signing if this goes through.
All right, sorry, I was just fixing my light there, guys. But yeah, going off what you were saying about Andre Onana, I think, like you said, Andre Onana for me can be that person we never really had in David De Gea. And whenever David De Gea had the ball, we were always freaking out, man. Oh my God, the amount of times we were just on the edge of our seat, worried that, what was De Gea going to do this time? Like how was he going to mess it up for us this time? And look, sometimes it was the Maguire De Gea combo that messed it up. But for me, when we see Onana and when we see him actually playing some incisive passes through the midfield, maybe to Mason Mount, maybe to Bruno Fernandes, it's going to be so refreshing for us, man, because Onana, the philosophy is just, he perfectly fits Ten Hag's system. And I think it's exactly what we need to be able to control possession of matches, to be able to control the ball and not get as many shots as we used to give up because of, like you said, whenever we get pressed last year, there would always be just a De Gea or Maguire mistake. And then the other team would get a really good counterattack and usually get a good chance out of it. So with Andre Onana in there, not losing the ball very stupidly, I think it could be huge for us. And we won't be nearly as stressed. We might be stressed because just anytime we see a goalkeeper with the ball, we're stressed now because of De Gea. But I think it's going to be important because you need a modern goalkeeper in today's league. And, Ederson, Alisson, Ramsdale, pretty much most keepers in the Premier League now can play with their feet. And Andre Onana is no different from them. And in fact, I think once he comes to the league, he might be one of the best ball-playing goalkeepers in the league, if not the best. He might not have the range of passing that Ederson has, but I think his distribution is insane. Like we saw in the Champions League final, he was not afraid to go pretty much be another center back, just making passes and helping his team out. So I think he could be a huge signing for us. And I don't know if you saw, there's an interview recently where Andre Onana, I don't know whether it was recently or not, but he was talking about the modern goalkeeper. And he was saying, and today when I talk about a goalkeeper, I talk about a modern goalkeeper who can play with his feet, who is good with one-on-one, who is brave, who transmits security and going for high balls. Having this keeper would be an advantage for your team because in the end, you always have numerical superiority. If the opposite team comes 1-against-1, you have the numerical superiority only with the goalkeeper. Andre Onana, for me, man, that's everything he's saying in that quote is everything De Gea lacked for us. De Gea wouldn't come off his line. De Gea wouldn't come out to take crosses. He was very, very weak, and he got bullied oftentimes. And every time he was on the ball, we were freaking out that he was going to lose it. So Andre Onana, for me, solves so many problems, and he can transform this team. Do you think he can transform this team more than a new striker would, or do you think a new striker would be more impactful?
I would say in terms of possession and the style Ten Hag wants to play, a goalkeeper transforms us way more than a striker does. Really, the biggest reason for getting a striker is converting a lot of the chances that we create for them. We saw really a lack of chance conversion, like shot conversions. But in terms of having like this new keeper, it's like I would say it's transformative on the level of like Alisson to Liverpool, like Ederson to Man City. It's such a level up. It is such a massive upgrade. I don't think a lot of people understand how huge this is going to be for us. Like, I, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see him between the sticks playing this possession football we've been dying to see, and not, you know, shaking between the knees every time our keeper gets the ball. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna
Yeah.
feel really good.
Not to mention the price tag that we've been seeing rumored is only about
It's low.
45
It's low.
million euros, which and plus 5 million add-ons, which for me is really low for a keeper who's only 27, and I think that's fairly young for a keeper. He's still in his prime, and keepers can play till they're like 33, 35, something like that. So I think we could get a decent amount of time out of him. And I don't know if you saw, but we also were linked to a younger keeper, I think a 20-year-old,
Hmm.
and it was Zion Suzuki. And he played. I'm not gonna sit here and lie
The
and tell.
Japanese league.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and tell you I know a whole bunch about this kid, but I mean, hey man, I saw a couple of his comps, and I must tell you, Chris,
Dude,
I am moved. I
it's
am
got a
moved.
cannon. It's got
Yeah,
a cannon.
Zion Suzuki has quite the bazooka, I must tell you.
Yeah.
And it looks like these keepers are sort of learning that they have to become ball playing keepers. So it's cool to see a 20-year-old, springing balls out and stuff. So I think it's good for the future for all keepers really. So hopefully we can get a player like that. I think it was like 5 million was the rumored. He could be our backup and then maybe take over after Andre Onana finishes out. So I don't know. I think it's all good news when it comes to the goalkeeper. And I think if we do bring a new goalkeeper in, what we can do is we can sell a Dean Henderson for a decent. What do you think we get him? 25, 30 million?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. I would honestly, I know you're not the biggest fan of Henderson, but I think he does like tick a lot of the boxes that Ten Hag looks for in a keeper. I think like he is good with his feet. He has good distribution. He is willing to come out, collect crosses. Like he's very physical, commands his box. So I do like him, but again, uh, if like with Onana possibly coming in, like Henderson's not going to sit on the bench for United ever again. Like he wants to go out and be a number one somewhere. So I I would welcome him to leave just because I think he does have a lot of potential and can be a great number one at another club. But yeah, he really can't be a number two for us. I think he should be playing somewhere else. And I mean, we'll see. I 30. I think 30 mil would be a good price for him. He's young. Um, he's got experience in the Premier League. And yeah, we'll see. I could. Yeah, I mean, I should maybe even Spurs. Like I could see him at Spurs to be honest. Like with Lloris gone.
I
But
think
I've
they
also
got it.
think
I
that
think
did
they
they
got
get
a
a new keeper?
keeper.
Did they were they linked with Raya?
I
Is that
think they
true or
they were linked with Raya, but
did they sign a keeper?
they got some guy named Vicario. It was
No.
like Guglielmo. Uh, I'm butchering his name. Guglielmo. I'm not gonna say it. Guglielmo Vicario, something like that. He's an Italian player. I
Well,
don't know much about him. He's
good
26 years
good
old.
good luck to him then.
Yeah, we'll
But
see. We'll see.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Henderson. For me, I think Henderson would be good at a club like. I think Burnley just bought a goalkeeper though, so it wouldn't be there. But maybe going back to Sheffield,
Yeah.
going
Or
back to where he's.
if David Raya leaves Brentford, then I could see him going to Brentford
That's true.
or something like that. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think, yeah, like you said, 30 million will be a good price for him. Let's talk about some other players that we might be able to sell. Because I heard Fred recently, some rumors that he got a new agent. And so Fred, which
Hmm.
I have a special place in my heart for Fred Dos Santos, man. He just, I don't know what it is about the pastor, but Fred, man, he's such a cute guy. He's really aggressive. He always puts 100% effort in, and it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be a sad day for me when Fred leaves Manchester United because he's provided so many memories. Like he's had some goals. He's had some nice assists. Obviously, yeah, like we said, he's just not consistent enough to play for us, and he's not technical enough. But he has those flashes and moments where I'm just like, oh man, I love this guy, but I just wish he could consistently do that. But I think we could get about 25, 30 million for him from like a Fulham, someone like that.
Hmm.
So who else do you think we should sell?
I mean, there's a lot of players on our list. Like, I mean, you have obviously Maguire that we've talked about leaving for for a long time. There hasn't been any rumors yet, like making us kind of scared. But I think it will eventually happen, especially if the captaincy like switch goes through. Um, there's players like McTominay we haven't really seen feature much this season. Like Van de Beek, Bailly, like Tellez, like Anthony Alenga, Mesri. There, we do have a long list of players to sell, and it is really concerning that we haven't seen many links for outgoing players because we know that our budget isn't that isn't going to be that big this summer because of the whole ownership situation, and we need to grow some funds so we can really go all out for a big striker and some more midfield depth, especially if we are to sell Fred and McTominay and Van de Beek, then we're going to need some reinforcements in. We've already seen one with Mount, but I mean, the more depth you have in as many positions, like the better. Um, but yeah, who do you think is, or like
I'm
from a priority perspective, who do you think we should be selling first?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of concerned too because you were talking about replacements, which I completely agree. And when you look at if we sell Fred and McTominay, I know we probably need to sell both of them. But if we do that, if you look at our bench, so we've got Mount and Bruno and Casemiro starting in the midfield, most likely. And then you got Eriksen on the bench. And who else in the midfield really? You got
If
Kobe Mainu, but he's a youngster. Like
yeah,
I don't really know. We really do need a new midfielder if we sell both Fred and McTominay. But I think we do need to sell them, which is quite the conundrum. So we've been seeing some links to Amrabat from Fiorentina, and he's a really good commanding midfielder. He's 26 years old, and he plays for Algeria, right? In the World Cup?
mm-hmm. Or
Not Algeria.
maybe
No, Morocco. Sorry,
Morocco.
Morocco. My mistake. But I like him. I think he's a really good player. He could be a good person to come in. I'm not sure he'll expect to play first minutes when he comes to Manchester United. So I think, yeah, we do need to get some replacements in if we sell a lot of players. So if we sell Maguire too, you look at it, and Varane's already injury prone, and Lindelof, I think he could put a shift in, but we do need another center back too if we're going to sell Maguire. So losing out on the whole Kim and Jay race was really depressing for me because I don't know, like it's tough because we need to sell these players in order to fund some of these moves we want to make. But at the same time, if we sell them and then it's too late because we took too long to sell them, we might not be able to bring the players right in. And already, like we've said before, these players aren't going to be coming in during the preseason. Just like Casemiro last year, they're going to need some time to adjust.
mm-hmm.
And it's going to set us back weeks. So it all comes down to the owners, like we've been saying. Like this whole problem stems back to the owners, like knowing what's our budget, what do we have, and what's going on with the whole owner situation. And Chris, I can't sit here and lie to you and tell you I'm completely assured that the Glazers aren't leaving, the Glazers are leaving. Because honestly, we see these reports about the Glazers getting closer to leaving almost every week, man. And today, what's today's date? The 9th of July or whatever.
July 9th.
Man, it's been like 8 months since the club put out that statement saying we're looking to sell. It's just like, dude,
Season starts August 14th.
what's the freaking holdup, man? Like we saw reports from Bloomberg Business, which is a pretty reputable business source, saying that they have people inside saying they don't know why there's been such a delay in the sale process. But like, bro, what is going on? Like, come on, Glazers. I don't know. For me, I hope it gets done soon, but I have no faith at all anymore. At this point, I'm just kind of assuming we're going into the season with the Glazers. But that like sets us back huge. And
Yeah.
with the whole selling players, like you already saw, we sold Iqbal and Zidane Iqbal and Ethan Laird. And those are two like pretty solid prospects. And I'm glad that with Iqbal, we have a buyback. I'm pretty sure we have a buyback option. But we only sold them for like less than $1 million
Pocket
each.
change.
Yeah, very little. And you look at Manchester City, how they're run. They sold a goalkeeper who is a League One goalkeeper. Is he Championship or League One? I don't even remember. He played in the Championship or League One last year. He's like an academy goalkeeper for like $15 million. His name is something Trafford. And he got sold for like $15 million. And then they sold some other guy recently for like another $10 million to Southampton. And he hadn't played any minutes either. And it's just like Zidane Iqbal literally played in the Champions. He played a match in the Champions League. And he's a solid prospect. Same with Ethan Laird. If you look at their transfer market values, it's something like $5 to $9 million or something. So like, how are we getting fleeced on these sales too? It's just the Glazers, man. They frustrate me like crazy. But I don't know, with the sales, if we're talking about certain players, like if you look at our list, Hannibal Mejbri, for me, if we sell a player like Hannibal Mejbri, we got to put a buyback option on there. It's a must because these players could turn out to develop into really good players. But Chris, I got to ask you, are you kind of concerned about how players are developing or the lack of player development we've seen from youth players? Because I mean, the only player that's really made a name for themselves under Ten Hag that's a youth player is Garnacho. And Garnacho, he kind of already came on the scene a little bit before Ten Hag came in. So Ten Hag's kind of just like furthered that process, I guess. I'm not discounting what Ten Hag has done with Garnacho, but I'm just saying, like, you look at like a Pellistri, and Pellistri should be getting more minutes. You look at, for me, I thought Kobe Manu would get some more minutes by the end of the season too. He didn't get any. Hopefully this season he does. Hannibal Mejbri, like he's gone out on loan 2 times now or something. I don't even know. But like these players got to start to get minutes and develop with us. You know, like Amad Diallo, Pellistri, Kobe Manu, all those guys. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think there's a problem here with Ten Hag developing these players?
I don't know, but I mean, we've seen him say a lot of the times, like when we're in these the competitions, like because a lot of the backlash has come like maybe not playing them in like cup ties and stuff. And I mean, Ten Hag has like iterated the importance of like putting out your best squad every match, like winning every competition, like winning every game. So, I mean, he doesn't want to throw players into like the starting lineup or throw them into the team without like really like getting them in and like adjusted to the squad. And I mean, you can do that in training as much as you can, but they're not going to get that game experience unless they're actually in a game. So I'm hoping with preseason starting in a couple days, we have a big match of runs come a big a run of matches coming up. Um, we'll see a lot of these youngsters, academy players getting minutes and Ten Hag getting to see like what the youth deal is with a lot of these players. There are obviously some more loans we can do because we've seen like Ahmad has gotten amazing experience over at Sunderland last season. So I think he's ready to make it into the squad now and really give Ten Hag a headache on who to pick for the front line. But it does come down to watching these players in games, and with Ten Hag wanting to put out the best team every game, like you're not gonna put in like academy players you haven't seen before, but they also can't really develop unless they're playing games. So it is kind of a paradoxical situation there, but I think some loans would be best. I think for
Okay.
at least some of the players.
Okay. Well, I think here, let me give you a little rundown. So I'll give you a list of players. I'll list off each player, and I want you to tell me whether you think the player should be either sold, loaned out, or given a chance with the first team, or just sit on the bench with the first team.
Okay.
And then give me like a quick little, just a
Yeah.
brief reason why. All right, I'll start out. Amad Diallo.
Amad Diallo has to be in the squad next season. Should be getting as many minutes as he can, like Garnacho minutes or even more. Like Ten Hag's obviously seen what he's done last season in the championship. He's obviously a very talented player, and I think he would really work well in the system that we are playing. I think he really, we've seen him on the right side. He loves to drift in, like play that central midfielder role too. I think he would be a really good addition to have in the squad next season for depth and in terms of talent.
What about Facundo Pellistri?
I I personally don't want him to get a loan. I wouldn't be surprised if he did get one because he wasn't really featured a lot last season. I think when he's come on this past season, he's done really well, really bright performances, has a real spark on the pitch. So I am kind of concerned slash surprised as to why he didn't get as many minutes as he could have, especially with Anthony out for some parts of the season. Um, he could have been picked over Sancho a couple times, in my opinion, or especially when we're chasing games against tired legs. He's very quick, he likes to take on his man. He has that like Garnacho style, like of touchline winger, wanted to take on the man and cut in, cutbacks. He done shown real promise in those parts of the pitch. So I would want it to stay with us, but like I just said, with Ahmad likely to stay next season, um, I don't want to give loans to like my favorite youngsters because I want them to be in the squad like playing games with us, but also, it's could be best for their development to go on loan. But I would say keep them.
That's fair. That's fair. What about Kobe Mainu?
Kobe Mainu definitely a loan, in my opinion. I think he had some experience this season, learning from one of the best midfielders ever, like Casemiro. Um, but I think a loan right now, because he hasn't really gotten much game time experience, like first team experience. I think a loan, like a championship loan, would be really good for him in his development.
What about Hannibal Mejbri?
He was on loan at Birmingham last season. That's right.
Yeah.
I think so. Um, I don't know. I think if we are to sell Fred and McTominay, I think keeping him would be good, obviously for depth reasons, to have someone else and to learn from our current midfielders. Um, so yeah, I would keep him.
Okay. Okay. And last one. This guy, he's kind of older, I guess now, but Anthony Olenga.
Alanga, sell,
You'd sell?
sell.
You think there's no future for him?
No, I don't see
He
it
plays with
for
the
him at
Swedish.
United.
He plays with the
He
Swedish
does.
team.
He's gotten other than Garnacho, the most chances out of any academy player, and he hasn't taken his chance yet. We haven't really seen very bright cameos from him. So especially with all the other attacking options we have, I don't really see a future for him at Man United.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's valid. Yeah. For me, if you're looking at the pool of players we have and the young prospects we got, Amad Diallo, for me, he's got to stay, man. He's a baller. He single-handedly had all to do with every single success that Sunderland had last year, and they almost made it to the Premier League because of him. And I don't know if he was their player of the season, but in my books, he definitely was. He had some insane. I just kept seeing highlights. I kept seeing highlights of him, and so I think he's a special player. And if Ten Hag wants to, has a possession-based side, we're going to see the best in Amad Diallo because he gets in those spaces. He kind of reminds me, this is kind of a bold claim. He kind of reminds me of a Bernardo Silva. The way he can dribble in tight areas. He's really small. He can pick out a really good pass. Mm-hmm. He has a beautiful shot. So I think, Amad Diallo for me, it's at the point where he's been through his loans. He's had experience. He's toughened up in the championship. Why not play him? I don't see why all these people on Twitter, all these United fans keep saying, hey, man, Amad Diallo's not ready. Let's send him on loan to Burnley. Let's send him on loan to another Premier League team. Like, no, man. Like, why not use him? Like, we spent how much on him? Like, 40 million?
Yeah, I was going to say, don't forget, 40 million from Atalanta is a huge fee for a teenager.
Huge fee for a very young player. And we still haven't really
we have plans
used him. Yeah,
we definitely have plans for him.
I'm hoping we use him properly. And if he does go on loan, it better be a Premier League side. But
definitely.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he at least gets some minutes, and maybe like Garnacho can be that impact sub. Because imagine him coming on and Garnacho coming on at the same time. Like, it's going to be a nightmare for opposing defenses. And same with, I think personally, I like Kobe Mainu, and I'd like to see him get a loan to get more minutes, but I really like him. I think he could be an asset, at least to the way we want to play. And for me, the unfortunate thing is we have Eriksen. So I think Eriksen is probably going to be the midfielder that comes on the most. So, Mainu's probably going to have to go on loan. Hannibal Mejbri, I've seen links to Borussia Dortmund, to us maybe loaning or selling him to Borussia Dortmund with a buyback clause. But I don't know if that'd be a bad idea, honestly, because Dortmund's really good for developing players. And if we had a buyback clause in there, or if we just loaned him out there, it wouldn't be too bad of an idea. So I think it's a good idea. But let's move on to, for me, this is something I saw on YouTube recently. There was a behind-the-scenes video posted by Manchester United, and it was a behind-the-scenes of Mason Mount signing. So all the media stuff he had to do and all the good stuff. And it was just fascinating to me because, I don't know if you saw, Chris, but when they went to the dressing room, Mason Mount's dad seemed almost in awe. He was saying, he was like, oh, man, this is home, man.
Everywhere.
This is home. Like, this is where I want you to be, Mason. And so, I don't know. For me, it's funny because I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans calling him a snake, calling him this and that. Hey, man, Mason Mount might be one of the best actors in all of football because he fooled me, man. I thought he was Chelsea through and through. I thought he was Mr. Chelsea because he looks like he loves it here already. And I'm excited. I'm starting to get excited. I know you might not have been excited. I wasn't too excited at the prospect of signing him, but I'm starting getting excited. Chris, are you getting excited about this signing?
I'm getting excited. He's gone everywhere with a huge smile on his face, meeting all the staff and everything. It's been really welcoming. They really welcomed him into the team, and he already has a lot of mates, like English mates at the club. I don't know if you saw like the when he like shook hands with Martinez, and
Yeah.
yeah, like that whole thing. I thought was funny. So he's definitely getting a really warm welcoming into the squad, and it's really great. Like in few episodes ago, we were talking about getting players in early for preseason, and getting Mount in before preseason is going to be
Huge.
really important for us, because now Ten Hag is going to have his three main midfielders together all summer long to get them how he wants them to play. I'm really looking forward to it. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be great.
Yeah, we talked about Casemiro coming in last year.
Yeah,
When was it? The Brentford game?
it was after Brentford, I think.
Yeah, I want to say he just subbed in at the end of
I
the
think he
Brentford or something like
I think
that.
he might have been there in the stands for
But
Brentford.
it took him a decent amount of time to really get
Yeah.
assimilated into the club because he didn't play that Liverpool match when we won 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Or no,
Or
we won
2-1.
2-1. Sorry,
Yeah.
2-1. And he wasn't involved in that game. So I think having our midfield three, like you just said, is
Mhm.
huge because Ten Hag is going to be able to work with them and tell them exactly what he wants from them. And there's going to be no communication errors. There's going to because I think the first two games of last season were really just down to like the team not knowing the system that well
Mhm.
and not meshing that well. So I think this preseason with Mason Mount, and if we can get Andre Onana in early too, that would also be huge because you
Huge.
could have a goalkeeper that you want with the tactical ability you need. So I think it's huge. But going back to Mason Mount, a shocking thing that we saw, Chris, because we knew he already signed because we saw Fabrizio Romano confirmed and all this stuff. But the morning we woke up and we saw that he signed, he had the number 7 jersey. Chris,
I know.
you think Mason Mount is worthy of the number 7 jersey, or do you really care?
I was shocked. I woke up and my uncle was in the room and he said, "Chris, Mount got 7." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh my god." I checked my phone, made sure it was true. It's like guess it makes sense. Like there's been some other players that like were linked to get it, like Garnacho, even like Sancho when we first signed him was like on to get it the next season. But Mason Mount for 7 it's I want to say it's like a pretty big deal. It's such an iconic number for us, but also it's also just a shirt number. So it's like there's two ways you can look at it. Um, but Mount obviously like Ten Hag like offered it to Mount and Mount took it. So he seems to be up for it, and hopefully he does a great job in it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I woke up and I saw the notification with Manchester United finally announcing Mason Mount is a Manchester United player, Mason Mount is red, or whatever they said, and I saw him holding up that iconic number 7 jersey, bro, I was really surprised. I can't lie, I was like, damn, okay, Mason. Because my first thought was, well, I thought Garnacho was like kind of confirmed to be the new number 7. And I
Mhm.
thought that was going to mean that Garnacho was going to kind of be maybe even a starter next year, which would have been kind of crazy. But I've kind of come around to the idea of Mason Mount being our number 7. And the reason why is because it shows that he has confidence. If he's taken on the number 7, it means he's got that confidence. I know it's just a jersey number. It's a silly little jersey number. But at the same time, he was offered this number and he had to contemplate the fact that so many people, put value behind this jersey. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'll take that responsibility. I'll be the number 7 at Manchester United. So I'm hoping that gives him the confidence to have a good season because last season, he didn't have the best season.
Mhm.
But same thing we saw with Rashford last year. He didn't have a great year the year before this past season. But then this season, he's been insane. So I'm hoping Mason Mount can have that same effect with Ten Hag and then the number 7 jersey. It's also interesting because Garnacho, like I was just saying, we had seen him hinting at getting the number 7 jersey on Instagram and social media and whatever. But it looks like now that Garnacho might be taking the number 28 jersey. I don't know if you saw, but
28.
he wore number 28 at Argentina's.
Mhm.
I think they were playing some friendlies or whatever. But also, I don't know if you remember, but Ronaldo was actually number 28 when
Yeah.
when he was at
Yeah,
Sporting.
Sporting.
Yeah, so I swear, man, Garnacho is like one of the biggest Ronaldo fans of all time
I know.
because he plays with Messi on the Argentina team, but he might be taking number 28. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how Garnacho does next year. Kobe Manu also got a New Jersey number 37. So
Nice.
lots of stuff happening. But,
Yeah.
with Mason Mount.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Mason Mount, man. I can't lie. I'm really excited for him.
I think it's kind of awesome too. Like Mount also is someone who idolized Cristiano Ronaldo growing up, and now to take his iconic number at his team, that's kind of what dreams are made of, in my opinion. I mean, it's like that's like stuff when you're a kid, like you dream of that kind of stuff, and now it's like actually happening for him. It's pretty insane, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, and like you said, he is a huge Ronaldo fan. He said that on the behind the scenes video, he was talking about how he watched him at United and stuff, and his dad seems like a United fan, which is kind of crazy just because of the whole Chelsea thing. But yeah, I mean, he'll know the weight of the number 7, and he'll know all the responsibility and all the pressure that's going to be put on him. So I think he is one of the. I don't think he's a cocky player either. I think he's a good team player. He seems to be getting along well with the lads, like you were talking about. He's already hugging Lissandro. He knows Jadon Sancho well. He knows Luke Shaw well. He knows Rashford. So I'm excited to see how it turns out, man. I think he's going to work at United. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to have the last laugh with the Chelsea fans because they were telling us we overpaid and whatnot. But, bro, I'm telling you, he's going to be worth it. He's definitely going to be worth it.
Dude, stole their boyhood, hero. It's like the equivalent of, Rashford going to, I don't know, Arsenal or something. I would be pissed. I would be so pissed. I'd be sad and mad and everything. I'd get all the negative feelings, but that's honestly insane. Taking your Premier League rival who had been there since a young boy, it's pretty crazy. We haven't seen much of rival transfers between rivals recently, and I'd say this is a pretty big one. And taking the 7 jersey too, it's there's a lot on top of that.
I do, yeah. Going off what you were saying about the rival transfers, that is that's definitely a thing because lately a lot of big players haven't been moving from Premier League rivals to Premier League rivals, and it used to be a thing back in the day. Remember Sol Campbell moving from did he move from Tottenham to Arsenal or the other way around? I think he was a free agent that moved from Tottenham to Arsenal. Just players like that, yeah, Tevez,
Ashley Cole,
yeah, Tevez, Ashley Cole, so many players, just. Huge names. Michael Owens. I mean, he wasn't good at United, but he still won the league at United when he never won at Liverpool.
Also had the 7 shirt at United. Hopefully, Mount's career does not go the way Owens did at United.
True, but yeah, I mean, you look at Mason Mount is one of Chelsea's prized possessions as of recently, and hey, Chris, make sure you mark down this on your calendar. April 3rd, 2024, man. We're going to Stamford Bridge. Manchester United are playing Stamford Bridge that day. That's going to be a huge match for a certain Mason, man. I'm excited for that one because I think he's totally going to be up for that. Hey, I'm calling it now. Mason Mount goal contribution hat trick. It might not be all 3 goals. It might be an assist and 2 goals, but I'm calling it now, man. He's going to have 3 goal contributions on April 3rd, 2024. Clip this.
6-0 Chelsea.
It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Cuz okay, I don't we're not a Chelsea channel, but I can't lie, bro. They're having they're all celebrating this great, purge of losing all these players and stuff, but bro, they haven't replaced anybody yet. There's
no direction.
Their team looks so weak. They look so weak.
I've seen predicted lineups for next season, and they look trash.
They do.
They don't look good at all.
I mean, they might be decent with Caicedo, but dude, they've got they've got huge gaps to fill. So
yeah,
I'm excited for April 3rd, man. Chelsea fans think it's going to be an easy season.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if Chelsea had a similar season next season than they did this past year.
They could be another mid-table team again.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing going for them right now is you have Posh back, but
and Cuckoo is but that's it. That's literally it. Yeah, I mean,
and they lost Mount and Havertz. Those 2 players won them the Champions League against Man City, and now they're both gone. And also their entire Champions League squad from 2 years ago is pretty much gone now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are in the mud, man. Chelsea are in the mud. Hey, we're on the rise out, and you know what the common denominator is lately as to why we've been so great?
Erik Ten Hag.
Well, that too, but a certain Twitter account has been banned recently. That's
I was gonna say something.
You're gonna talk about Mr. United Trey.
United Trey, one of the biggest faces of football Twitter, has gotten banned 3 or 4 times in the past like couple weeks, but he's gone for good now, it looks like. But since then, we've done some pretty crazy stuff at United. Like De Gea's finally gone. We signed Mason Mount. Onana is like very close to being done. Like Hoyland's personal terms I think are completed. There's some really like Manchester United Football Club since Trey has left Twitter has been nothing less than bad.
Yeah,
Dude, that Trey is a curse. I think it's
Trey,
a curse, and the curse has been lifted.
it has
So
been. I was just
basically,
checking Twitter. I was just checking Twitter because his buddy, CFC Janty. Have you heard of that account?
Yeah.
He's also a pretty popular account. He's a Chelsea fan, but I think he's like best buds or something with United Trey. He keeps saying he's coming back and stuff, but hey, man, if United Trey, if you somehow happen to stumble upon this, please, man, never
Don't
come back to Twitter.
Don't come back.
You can come back to YouTube
Don't.
or something. Actually, no, don't come back to social media. Just be happy as a United fan.
Stay off your phone.
We've been doing well lately.
Touch
let
some grass.
Let us live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, Chris, that's all we got for today. But do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah.
Any last final things? Because I don't know. We talked about it a lot.
No. Yeah.
We could talk. We'll talk about
this is-
more next week.
This is definitely one of the more lighthearted episodes I think we've done in recent weeks.
I would definitely say I'm happy.
Hopefully more to come.
Yeah, I think
We
most
also
United
have,
fans can be pretty happy.
Yeah, preseason's coming up soon as well, so we'll get to talk about that once that happens.
Yes, indeed. There's a game on the 12th of July. We're playing against Leeds. And then we also play on the 19th against Lyon. And then, Chris, on the 22nd.
We'll be there. We're going to be there.
Save the date. We will be there at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Arsenal, Man United. Huge match.
Huge match.
We'll be vlogging that. Tons of coverage.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the camera in. We'll see if we can do that. But, yeah, it's going to be tons of fun.
Yep.
So make sure you guys
Looking forward
subscribe
to it.
to the channel. You guys like the video. Comment your thoughts. Tell us who you think is going to be sold. Tell us whether you think Qatar will come in soon. I don't know. Just tell all your thoughts. But yeah, subscribe to the channel. Have a blessed, great rest of your week. I'm not religious, but have a good rest of your week. And that's all we got for you guys. Peace out.